Fans genuinely believed the Warriors had it wrapped up. And honestly, why wouldn't they? Golden State had just come off a season where they broke the NBA record for regular season wins, 73 victories. They were a machine, fueled by the brilliance of Steph Curry, the first ever unanimous MVP. No matter how you sliced it, the numbers, the talent, the momentum, it all pointed one way. Cleveland, meanwhile, was down 3-1 in the series. No team in NBA history had ever climbed out of that hole in the finals, not once. It was the kind of deficit that crushed hope. People had already started planning the Warriors' victory parade. In sports, sometimes confidence shades into inevitability. And for Warriors fans, it felt impossible that a team so dominant could let it slip away. But Game 7 changed everything. With just under 2 minutes left, the score was tied at 89. Tension buzzed through the arena like static. Andre Iguodala grabbed the ball in transition, took off down court, and saw daylight, a clean lane for the layup that might have sealed Golden State's repeat title. It was the moment when the dynastic Warriors were supposed to remind everyone who they were. But then, LeBron James. Out of nowhere, LeBron charged like a freight train. He covered an impossible amount of ground and swatted Iguodala's layup off the backboard with perfect timing. That play became known as the block. It wasn't just a defensive stop, it was the physical embodiment of belief, defiance, and pure superhuman athleticism. It felt scripted, unreal. It's the kind of moment people still talk about with goosebumps. The clip played endlessly on highlight reels and narrated in hushed tones, as though retelling a modern myth. And just when fans thought they'd seen the final twist, Kyrie Irving, with ice in his veins, dribbled up, sized up Steph Curry, and launched a step-back three. The shot. Nothing but net. That was the dagger. The Cavaliers went on to win their first ever championship, ending Cleveland's 52-year pro sports title drought. It was basketball's version of a fairy tale. The underdogs who refused to die, fueled by a city's hunger for redemption and proof that, even against impossible odds, history could change in a single moment. Now let's rewind the clock to the 2000 Sydney Olympics. Team USA was loaded with NBA stars, as usual. They were facing France, and the game was running pretty much as expected. Then, Vince Carter decided to defy physics. Carter, known as half man, half amazing, intercepted a pass, took off on a fast break, and saw a giant in his path, 7'2" French center Frédéric Weiss. But instead of going around him, Vince jumped over him, entirely. His right leg cleared Weiss's head. He slammed the ball through the hoop with fury and hung on the rim. The entire arena gasped. Teammates ran around screaming. Even opponents looked shell-shocked. People watching on TV wondered if it was CGI. In an instant, Carter had created a dunk that transcended sports. Years later, the French press called it le dunk de la mort, the dunk of death. It's a moment often replayed as one of the purest displays of athleticism the sport has ever seen. A leap so audacious that it turned Carter into a legend overnight. And Weiss? His NBA dreams never quite materialized. That dunk haunted his career and became a symbol of how, in basketball, one moment can define your legacy, for better or worse. For fans, it became a story to tell again and again. Were you watching live when Vince jumped over a man? If we're talking jaw-dropping moments, we can't leave out Reggie Miller in 1995. It was Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. The New York Knicks led the Indiana Pacers by 6 points with just 18 seconds left. Knicks fans were roaring. Sure, this one was locked up. It seemed like business as usual at Madison Square Garden, where the Knicks ruled with swagger and the city buzzed with confidence. But Reggie Miller thrived on moments like this. He sank a quick three, cutting a lead to 3 points. On the very next inbound, he stole the ball, stepped back to the three-point line, and drilled another one. Tie game. Seconds later, he was fouled, went to the line, and calmly knocked down 2 free throws. 8 points in 9 seconds. It's the kind of feat that makes fans stare at each other with disbelief, whispering, "Did that just happen?" Madison Square Garden, one of basketball's loudest venues, fell silent in disbelief. Spike Lee, a constant courtside heckler, could only stand frozen. That night cemented Reggie as the ultimate villain in New York, a guy who could turn the basketball world upside down in a heartbeat. For Knicks fans, it was a nightmare. For everyone else, it was pure theater. Moments like Miller's are why we watch sports, for those improbable bursts of brilliance that shift entire narratives in mere seconds, leaving both heartbreak and legend in their wake. Fast forward to 2013. The Miami Heat were seconds from elimination in Game 6 of the NBA Finals against the San Antonio Spurs. The championship trophy was already on its rolling table near the court, ready for a Spurs celebration. The ropes were up, and fans in the stands were leaving early to beat traffic. There's a peculiar heartbreak when you're minutes away from a championship and then everything unravels. And that's exactly what San Antonio felt in those seconds. Then came the rebound that changed everything. LeBron James fired up a desperation three that missed. Chris Bosh leapt up, snatched the offensive rebound, and kicked it out to Ray Allen, who was shuffling backward to the corner. Allen's heels balanced just outside the three-point line as he caught the ball, pivoted, and let it fly. Swish. Tie game. The collective gasp of the arena felt like it could shatter glass. Allen's three-pointer forced overtime and ultimately kept Miami's championship hopes alive. The Heat would go on to win Game 7 and the title. One shot flipped an entire NBA narrative. It's become the example every kid shoots in their driveway, counting down 3, 2, 1 before letting it fly. Ray Allen's three is more than a shot. It's a reminder of how preparation meets opportunity, and how the smallest window can decide the fate of dynasties. In those few seconds, history tilted, proving that in basketball, legends are born not just from talent, but from perfect execution under impossible pressure. The image of Allen's perfectly arched shot, frozen mid-air, remains one of the most replayed sequences in NBA history. A single flick of the wrist that changed everything and left Spurs fans staring in stunned silence. And then, there was Linsanity. It's February 2012. Jeremy Lin is a Harvard grad, undrafted, cut by multiple teams, and crashing on a teammate's couch. Nobody expected anything from him. He was days away from possibly being cut by the Knicks. In a league driven by star power and big contracts, Lin was an afterthought, a name hardly worth noticing on a roster sheet. But with injuries decimating the roster, Lin finally got playing time, and he exploded. Night after night, he torched teams for 20, 30, even 38 points. He hit game winners, shredded defenses, and brought Madison Square Garden to life. For 2 magical weeks, Lin became the face of the league. Newspapers in China splashed his face across front pages. Linsanity became a global phenomenon. His rise wasn't just a sports story. It was a story of representation, resilience, and how belief can transform a career overnight. People who'd never watched basketball suddenly tuned in, captivated by an underdog who looked like them, reminding the world that greatness can come from anywhere. Lin's story also sparked crucial conversations about stereotypes, visibility for Asian Americans, and how hidden talent sometimes just needs the right moment to shine. It was pure basketball magic, a testament to how, in the NBA, one spark can ignite an entire movement, and one player can capture the world's imagination almost overnight. Let's jump to Steph Curry in 2016, Warriors versus Thunder, overtime, tie game. Curry dribbles casually across half court, way outside normal shooting range, and lets it fly from 37 feet. Nothing but net. Game over. Mike Breen's double bang call echoes through the ages. That was the game where Curry hit 12 three-pointers, tying the NBA record at the time. But it wasn't just the numbers, it was how routine he made the impossible look. Before Curry, those shots were bad shots. After Curry, they were just part of the game plan. He turned half court into a viable scoring zone, altering defenses forever. That night, defenses collectively realized they had no idea how to guard him. It was the night the NBA changed forever. Coaches scrambled to rewrite defensive schemes. Curry's confidence and range redefined modern basketball, inspiring a new generation of players who believed the three-point line was merely a suggestion. It wasn't just a win for Golden State. It was a seismic shift in how the sport was played and watched, injecting excitement into every possession because you never knew when Steph might pull up from anywhere. But the NBA isn't all highlight reels. Sometimes it's just weird. 2008 NBA Finals. Paul Pierce crumbles to the floor, grabbing his knee. He's been carried off the court in a wheelchair. Fans feared his season, and maybe career, was over. 5 minutes later, Pierce jogs back out of the tunnel, drills a three, and soaks in the roaring crowd. Celtics fans hailed it as legendary toughness. Years later, Pierce admitted he just needed a bathroom break. Seriously, only the NBA can give you storylines that wild. And somehow, that strange twist made his comeback feel even more legendary. An unlikely mix of drama and humor that only basketball can produce. Moments like these remind us that while the NBA is filled with transcendent talent and historic feats, it's also a stage for the unexpected, where reality can sometimes feel stranger than fiction. It's part of what makes the league so endlessly fascinating. The blend of genuine grit and moments that leave you laughing or shaking your head in disbelief. And then came the mayhem known as the Malice at the Palace. It was November 2004. Pacers versus Pistons. A hard foul led to shoving. But it didn't end there. A fan threw a drink at Ron Artest, who then charged into the stands. Chaos exploded. Players were fighting fans. Fans were throwing punches, and chairs were flying. Suspensions rained down. Artest got suspended for the rest of the season, 86 games. The NBA overhauled security policies. To this day, people watch the footage and can't believe it happened. It felt like a scene from an action movie, but it was real. It's a reminder that beneath the glitz and glamour, sports are fueled by raw human emotion, sometimes beautiful, sometimes dangerous. The brawl changed the NBA's public image overnight, leading to stricter rules about player conduct and arena security. It also ignited debates about fan behavior and how quickly the line between spectator and participant can vanish. The incident became one of the most infamous chapters in NBA history, a stark example of how passion, pride, and chaos can collide in an instant, turning a basketball game into a national headline. Let's talk Kawhi Leonard in 2019. Raptors versus Sixers, Game 7, tie game, seconds left. Kawhi dribbles to the corner, fakes, and fires as the clock hits 0. The ball hit the rim once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. The whole arena held its breath. Then it dropped in, swish, game over. Kawhi squatting in the corner, eyes locked on the ball, became an iconic photograph. That shot didn't just win a game. It propelled the Raptors toward their first NBA title. It's one of those snapshots that feels destined for murals, stitched into jerseys, recited in highlight montages for generations. Now here's one that might have slipped under your radar. The Valley Oop. 2021, Western Conference Finals, Game 2, Suns versus Clippers. Suns are down 1 point. Only 0.9 seconds on the clock. Jay Crowder lines up for an inbound pass from behind the basket. He throws a perfect lob over the backboard. DeAndre Ayton leaps, catches, and slams it home. The Valley Oop. Perfectly timed, perfectly legal. The entire arena exploded. The play felt too flawless, like something out of a movie script. It's one of the purest examples of split-second execution under pressure. A fraction of a second earlier or later, and the ball misses Ayton's hands completely. But on that night, it was perfect. Now let's rewind to 1989. Bulls versus Cavaliers. Game tied. Series tied. Michael Jordan gets the inbound pass. He dribbles, elevates, and double clutches in midair while Craig Elo contests. Jordan hangs there longer than seems humanly possible, then releases the ball. Swish. Jordan's fist pump afterward became an iconic sports image. It wasn't just a game winner. It was the beginning of Michael Jordan's playoff legend. It was the shot, and it symbolized the start of a dynasty. Fans who witnessed it live still recall the eerie silence right before the swish, and the explosion of noise that followed. Then there's Charles Barkley in 1993. Not known for his outside shooting, Barkley stunned everyone when he drained a game-winning three-pointer against the Sonics. It was his first made three of the entire season. Even Barkley looked shocked. He shrugged, laughed, and just kept walking. Sometimes, destiny has a sense of humor. It's moments like that when basketball feels less like a sport and more like a cosmic joke. Damian Lillard in the 2020 NBA bubble was another level of absurdity. No fans, just empty seats, echoing sneakers, and pure basketball. And Dame owned it. He dropped 61 points, pulled up from the logo like it was nothing. His shot seemed to bend time and space. He waved goodbye to defenders and carried the Trailblazers into the playoffs almost single-handedly. With no crowd noise, his performances felt like theater, every swish echoing in the silence. Dame reminded everyone that pressure is internal, and he thrived under it. It's a testament to pure skill, and the mental edge of knowing the big stage doesn't have to include an audience. The Denver Nuggets once finished a game with only 4 players on the court. Ejections, injuries, pure chaos. But those 4 players kept battling. They hustled, they hit shots, and for a moment, it looked like they might steal the win. It didn't happen, but the effort was unforgettable. It was gritty, ugly, beautiful basketball at its core, a reminder that heart sometimes matters more than numbers, and that in the NBA, even chaos can produce magic. That night wasn't about a stat line, it was about resilience. Fans stood in awe as 4 exhausted players defied logic, refusing to back down. It's one of those bizarre chapters in NBA history that gets passed around like a secret, reminding us all why we love this game. because absolutely anything can happen. These moments are why we love the NBA, because sometimes what we're watching doesn't look real. It feels scripted, edited, impossible. But it happened, and it reminds us why basketball isn't just a sport. It's a canvas for some of the wildest, most magical moments in sports history.